I've always naturally been somebody who takes care of other people and who puts other people before myself. But you can't pour from an empty cup. I'm an only child. My parents divorced when I was 3 years old. My dad was an alcoholic, and my mom functioned as a single mom. She was always working, and my dad was just kind of buried in a bottle. My spouse and I had moved in together. We ended up getting pregnant, and it was shortly after that I got a very terrifying call. The ER in Florida, which is where my dad lived at the time, told me to come and say goodbye. Because he had a really massive stroke. I moved my dad up here. I didn't really give him a choice. I've been running him to all of his appointments, doing laundry, doing grocery shopping, trying to help him clean his house. By this point, I've had the baby, and there's definitely pressure that I put on myself and the kind of life that I wanted her to have. I wanted the stable home environment, because I didn't have that. 2020 was a fun year for us all. My spouse is a critical care nurse, so he was on the front lines taking care of COVID patients. So we had to make a hard decision of not having him home. For a year straight, I'd kind of become a single mom. Being a mom and an employee, we actually started school from home, so now I'm a mom and an employee and a teacher. I was also being the caretaker for my dad. I was feeling overwhelmed. I could start a million tasks and I couldn't finish anything. I just didn't have the drive. How I was feeling was never expressed towards my partner because I didn't know that I needed to share it with anybody. And then my salesperson said, I love Tierney, but she's dropping balls. And then as soon as we hung up the phone, I lost it and was just sobbing hysterically. It was the inability to focus at work. It was the inability to be a good mom. The fact that my house was a disaster. The sink was full of dishes, and yet we were still going to McDonald's every night. And I just couldn't contain it. I couldn't hide it. I couldn't pretend it wasn't there anymore. That's when I fell into the deep end. And so I called my doctor. They put me through like a mental health screening that I did not perform very well. And then that led into more questions from him of like, well, how are you feeling? He referenced burnout when we talked about all of the pressure that I had been under. Burnout is something that compounds over time. It's more than just one bad day or one struggle. It's a constant piling on top of each other until you reach a point where you can't anymore. At that moment, I felt that there was something fundamentally wrong with me, and I needed to take a step back to heal that. I'm very grateful that I was not suicidal, but I was close. I feel like I have a very intimate understanding of how somebody gets to that point. It's a level of no feeling. It's really empty. You're just existing in space. It's a place I never want to go back to. There's two reasons why I didn't get to the point of suicide. It's that I had to get up. I didn't have a choice. I didn't care about anybody else, but I wasn't gonna let her down. And then the other thing was that I was in an exercise program at that time, and I wouldn't let myself not do it. Every day I did my 30-minute workout. And I think that is what kept me from totally going under. I started turning the TV off at 9 p.m. I started reading books as just a way to feel like I did something that day. I got something done. Definitely getting more sleep. Just these things to try to help myself feel more engaged in my life. Then I would just get like this burst of energy. Then I could go do the dishes. It was just like these simple moments in time when I could see through the fog. Like I came up for one breath of air, and learning that I could do that, I think, allowed me to repeat it. None of my responsibilities have changed. What changed was how I perceive the world around me, and then acknowledging and accepting myself for who I am. I still take care of my dad and my daughter and work, but I deserve to sleep. I deserve to acknowledge what I'm experiencing in the moment. I deserve to say I'm overwhelmed. I deserve self-care. That dark place is isolating. And I think that that's also what can drive people into these bouts of burnout. You just feel like you're the only one, and no, you're not. I'm not ashamed of what happened. In fact, I'm proud of it because it's gotten me here. It was the stepping stone to a strength I never had in life.